Hey everybody, welcome into the Fantasy Six Pack YouTube channel for the Week 5 Waiver Wire show. I'm your host, Dylan Clemons, as I'm here to bring you my top 6 waiver wire targets for this week. But before I jump right into those, I want to remind you to please smash that like button. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel if you don't already, and hit that little bell for notifications so you know when we go live or when there's a new video uploaded. After you do that, please head on over to fantasy6pack.net/plans and sign up to be an all-access member. You get access to our award-winning rankings, access to the F6P Discord where you get custom advice for your leagues and DFS builds, direct access to our F6P team, and AMAs. Plus, our DFS projections and stacking tool. It's just an awesome bundle for a very, very low price of $9.99, guys. So make sure you head on over there and check that out. But without further ado, let's jump right into it. And my first guy that I am targeting this week is Tyler Boyd, wide receiver from the Cincinnati Bengals, who is rostered in 41% of the leagues. I was honestly surprised that he was owned under 50%, but with the T. Higgins injury news that he fractured a rib in the week 4 loss, it seems like he's going to miss time. And we've seen Tyler Boyd produce when he's gotten the targets and the opportunity. And he finished last season as a top 10 guy twice, finished inside the top 36 another handful of times. And this is a guy who's he could just produce when he gets the opportunity. And even with Higgins on the field, he's seen 24 targets over the last 3 games. It's just he's a very low average depth of target guy, and he hasn't been doing anything after the catch, as hasn't gone higher than 52 receiving yards. I would bet that would change this week as they take on the Arizona Cardinals. But without Higgins on the field, I think Tyler Boyd is, if he's available and you need some help in your lineups, I think he's someone that you could pick up and then just plug right in. And he's a guy who could get you 12 to 15 fantasy points. No issue for me this weekend. The next guy here is another wide receiver, and that is Romeo Doubs, wide receiver, the Green Bay Packers, who is rostered in 44% of leagues. Why? Why is he not rostered more? In his last 2 games, he has 25 targets, guys, 13 and 12. Christian Watson even came back on Thursday, and he still saw 12 targets. It seems like him and Jordan Love have a very, very solid chemistry already, and you can see that from all the back shoulder throws he's completed. And Doubs is one of the top red zone targets on this team. He's finished as a top 13 receiver in fantasy football in 3 out of his last 4 games, guys. What are we doing here? How is he only rostered in 44% of the leagues? Pick him up, start him this week, and have no issue with it, as they're taking on the Raiders too, who aren't good against opposing wide receivers and just aren't a very good defense. So that one's wild to me that he's still available. The next guy I want to talk about is another wide receiver, and that's Michael Wilson, the rookie for the Arizona Cardinals, rostered in just 1.7% of leagues. This could be a flash in the pan, guys, but I'm still buying in a little bit. He was still 3rd on the team in targets behind Marquise Brown and Zach Ertz. However, he still saw 7, caught all 7 of them for 76 yards and 2 touchdowns. And he's looking like he's a very talented player, and it's interesting why he slipped so far in the draft. But the Cardinals are taking on the Bengals this week, who are middle of the road against opposing wide receivers, so it's not a great matchup for him, but he definitely needs to be rostered in more than 1.7% of leagues, and I think he's someone who you can pick up and perhaps just stash on your bench, and you might, who knows, you might end up using him as a bye week filler as the season progresses and we start bye weeks this week. The next guy on the list that I want to talk about is Jaleel McLaughlin, the running back from the Denver Broncos, who once again is only rostered in 1.8% of leagues. This is a guy, man. He looks quick. He looks shifty. and he looks good. And I know it was against the Bears this weekend, but I'm a Bears fan, so I watched every single snap of that game, and every time he touched the ball, something good seemed to have happened. Like he saw 7 carries for 72 yards and caught all 3 of his targets for 32 yards, had over 100 all-purpose yards, and he found the end zone. Javonte Williams unfortunately got hurt with a hip injury. It's unknown if he's going to miss any time, but if he does, McLaughlin needs to be rostered, guys. He's at least going to grab a lot of the passing game work, and that's where I feel like he can thrive, even though Samaje Perine is also good in that. But I think Samaje is more suitable for the in between the tackles. So if Javonte Williams misses any time, I think you can look at McLaughlin, and if your teams are in trouble right now or battling the injury bug, he could be started in a pinch, but definitely should be rostered in more than just under 2% of leagues right now. So the next guy here is the first tight end, and I know I've talked about him before, and that's Jake Ferguson. He's been a top 13 guy in 3 straight weeks, and he has seen 7 targets in 3 of the past 4 games. He's just only has 1 touchdown this year. They play the 49ers this week, and teams love to attack the 49ers in the middle of the field with their tight ends. They have seen the top 5 most targets to the tight end position at 35, but they have been pretty good against them. They've only allowed 17 receptions and only 1 touchdown. I don't necessarily know if this is a great matchup for Jake Ferguson and the Cowboys offense in general, but if they're going to follow suit like all the other teams and try to attack them with the tight end in the middle of the field, I think Ferguson is worth a pickup and a start. He shouldn't be out on the waiver wire any longer, especially with the way tight end is. It's not good right now outside of the top few guys. So it's a little baffling that Jake Ferguson is still out there in as many leagues as he is. And then the last and final guy this is the first time I've talked about a quarterback on here, and that's CJ Stroud, quarterback of the Houston Texans, who is just rostered in 38.9% of leagues. It's time to start taking him serious and this Houston offense seriously as well, because he's finished as a top 12 quarterback in 3 straight weeks, and he's QB 10 on the season. He also hasn't scored fewer than 20 fantasy points in his last 3 games either. So he's producing, he's getting the volume because he's thrown at least 30 balls in every single game that he's played as well, and has yet to throw an interception, guys. That's an outstanding stat right there. Like, man, if he keeps going at this pace, it's just outstanding for CJ Stroud and the Texans. What a great pick so far he has been, and it looks like he could be their franchise quarterback. The next 2 weeks aren't the best matchups for him. Going against the Falcons and the Saints, just because the Falcons play so slow. But I don't want to look too far ahead, but what I do like is during the fantasy playoffs in weeks 15 and 17, CJ Stroud gets the Tennessee Titans, which is a divisional game. And Tennessee is not good against opposing quarterbacks. So that could be good news for CJ Stroud. So you might want to grab him now and stash him on your bench if you can afford to. But that's it. That's my top 6 guys. I have a list of other guys as well in my article, but you have to become an all access member to check those out. And you can do that by heading over to fantasy6pack.net/plans and becoming an all access member, where once again, you get access to our award-winning rankings, access to our F6P Discord, direct access to our F6P team, and our DFS projections and stacking tool. I will be here every week the rest of the fantasy football season. I'm giving you my top 6 waiver wire additions. But until next week, I will talk to you guys later. Thanks.